Okay, so the next one we have is the authors. Who is a principal author? Principal author is the one who is responsible for the study design, for the idea conception, and who is actually the main, you can say, the person who is conducting the study. So if there is any problem later on, or if you can say if there is any there is a request for data, or if someone is like, no, you have copied this stuff or this and that or any other thing, the principal author is the one who actually owns the study. Okay, he is the one who is like the father or the parent of the article. So principal author is mostly the first author, and the co-authors are second, third, fourth, fifth, or anything like that. Supervisor is the one who supervises you. A corresponding author, the word is from the word correspondence. That means it's someone who is involved in the correspondence or the messaging or the emailing. So when you will guys submit your article to the journal, the editor, they would be asking who is the corresponding author. Okay, so corresponding author is the one, instead of contacting all the authors of the article, 9 or 10 authors, they would just be in contact with that one person who is the corresponding author. Okay, whatever I tell my all the time my students, that is, never ever during your medical life be concerned so much with the authorship. Your focus should be on getting the most or learning the most as much as you can. Okay, at the end of the day, the person who will be knowing more of the skills, who will know cohort, cross-sectional, clinical audits, case reports, systematic reviews, GBT analysis, CDC-100 analysis, that person would win in the long run. The person who's just fixated on, some of my students are like, no, Api, I won't do this research, they're not giving me a first authorship. I'm like, that's totally fine, you should take this as an opportunity to learn. Okay, we should not be so much fixated on that, no, I need to be the first author, no, I need to be the second author. It's just yeah, sometimes later on when you are in your professional field or when you are just competing in that race, then you can ask according to the ICGMA criteria that, yeah, I have done more work, I need the authorship. But I think so. Yeah, the good practice is that authorship should be afforded according to the authorship guidelines. But the wherever you get the opportunity to learn, seek that opportunity. So the next thing that is important is introduction writing. In your introduction, you should have 8 to 13 references, and they should be from the last 5 years. Okay, and around 700 to 800 words. That's the count that most journals accept. Yeah. I mostly divide the introduction into 4 paragraphs. The first one, that is about what is your research about. In this paragraph, you have to give an introduction. Like, my research is about this thing and that thing, and I will introduce the topic and stuff like that. In the second paragraph, I have to talk about the trends. Firstly, worldwide trends, and secondly, the trends of the place where you are conducting the study. This paragraph is important to give strength to your article, that why is your article important. If I am doing a research on anxiety and depression, I will write that this many students are suffering from anxiety and depression. This many students are suffering from the depression, and because of that, these are the effects on the grades. These many people. So this paragraph should be full of percentages and stats and statistics. Okay, it will give strength to your article. Then the third paragraph is on research, international level, national level, like on this topic, what research has already been carried out. Okay, so what is the global world talking about this thing, and what's your national level, what research is being conducted. And then the last paragraph, that is, if so much research has already been happening around the world, then why is your research important? You have to identify the gap, and that gap can be, let me show you guys 2 things I had in mind when I was going to this research about. Okay, yeah, I remember now. Okay, so what are the gaps? Research gaps can be divided into many categories. Some people are like, if it had been conducted in that place, why should I conduct it? Why should I conduct this research at my place? Okay, the thing is, because there are different gaps. The first one is a population gap. Population gap is if a research has been conducted in America or in any other country else, but it has not been conducted in my country. I can do a research. I can do that research in my country. That's a population gap. Okay. Then we have the methodology gaps. Suppose if a research has been conducted in America, but that is not using a proper questionnaire, and I want to do a different one, or they have conducted a research on prevalence of hypertension and they have used electronic BP cuffs. But I conducted in Pakistan and I use a manual BP cuff. Okay, so that's one of the research gap. Then we have the practical knowledge research gap, that there is theoretical stuff that is available, but I am assessing what is the practical steps that are being taken place in my country. Then the knowledge gap. Then we have the theoretical gap. Maybe there is some evidence that is lacking. Then we have the evidence gap, and then we have the empirical gaps. Okay, so it's not like that thing that if a topic has already been done in any part of the world, you cannot do a research on that. There are so many gaps that you can address. Okay, and the next thing that I wanted to discuss was your references should be from last 5 years. Okay, so suppose I am doing a research on anemia. What I can do is I can set this timeline meter. I will set this to 2020 because that would be the 5 years here. Sometimes when I'm doing a research, I use softwares like Perplexity or Perplexity I find the most helpful, or the Deep Seek. Okay, you can use those software, but the reason is that it is AI. You have to very much counter check the data. Most of the time, the data is not that accurate. You can take help from them using the references, but always use a referencing software, like I told you guys before, like Mendeley, because the references that the Perplexity show, they are the original references, but they are not written or cited in the right order. Okay, so you can use these softwares, but always avoid plagiarism, always avoid AI content. Okay. Then the next thing, then we will just take a break, and that was the rationale and the objectives. What is the rationale? The rationale is like a one-liner statement of what is the need of your research, why is your research important. Like if I'm saying, I'm explaining to someone, I did this research, this and that and blah blah blah, and he just asks me, Sumaya, what is the main need of your research? So I can say my research will help this thing. So that one liner is a rationale. And what is an objective? I'm just discussing this two stuff because many other interviewers, they just like confusing the people. And what's the difference between rationale and objective? So I just thought of discussing this. So the objective is a step-by-step breakdown of how you will conduct your research. I will say I will to determine this, and then to establish the relation between this and this. The objectives are like that. It's a step-by-step breakdown. Okay. Next time we would be discussing the other stuff. So just let's stop the recording.